July 1954. Haneda Airport in Tokyo is a chaotic crossroads of a world still rebuilding itself after the Great War. It's a humid, sweltering afternoon. Among the sea of passengers stepping off a flight from Europe is a man who, by all accounts, is perfectly unremarkable. He is middle-aged, dressed in a sharp, conservative business suit, carrying a leather briefcase. He joins the line for customs. When it's his turn, he hands over his passport with the practiced ease of a frequent traveler. He speaks primary French, but converses fluently in Japanese and several other languages. Everything seems routine, until the officer opens the passport. The officer pauses. He looks at the document, then at the man, then back at the document. He calls over a supervisor. The passport is high quality, authentic looking, and contains legitimate-looking visa stamps from all over the world. But there is one glaring, impossible problem. The passport was issued by a country called Taured. The officers ask the man where he is from. He looks at them, confused, and says, "Taured." They tell him they've never heard of it. The man's expression shifts from confusion to a slight, polite laugh. He thinks it's a bureaucratic joke. He tells them Taured is a wealthy, thousand-year-old nation nestled between France and Spain. Part 2. The map. The officials lead the man to an interrogation room. They are convinced he is a criminal or a spy with a very sophisticated forgery. They pull out a large world map and lay it across the table. "Point to your country," they command. Without a second of hesitation, the man's finger lands on the border between France and Spain. He looks at the map and his face goes pale. He stares at the small territory our world knows as Andorra. "What is this?" he whispers. He becomes visibly distressed. He tells the officers that Andorra doesn't exist, that this map is the forgery. In his world, Taured occupies that entire valley. He had traveled to Japan for business many times before. He even produces a checkbook from a Tauridian bank and a driver's license issued in Taured. The Japanese officials are at a stalemate. The documents are physically real. They feel like the right paper. They have the right seals. But they represent a reality that is not ours. They check with the company he claimed to be meeting in Tokyo. The company exists, but they have never heard of him. They check the hotel, where he claimed to have a reservation. The hotel exists, but his name isn't on the list. To the man, it is as if the entire world has been rewritten while he was in the air. Part 3. The vanishing. The authorities decide to hold him until they can sort out this diplomatic anomaly. They take him to a nearby high-rise hotel. They aren't taking any chances. They place 2 armed immigration officers outside his door on the 15th floor. The room has no balcony. There is only one entrance. The man is exhausted, defeated, and seemingly trapped. The guards watch the door all night. They hear no sound from inside. No shouting, no moving furniture. Just silence. The next morning, when they knock to bring him breakfast, there is no answer. They burst into the room. It is empty. The bed is made. The man's briefcase is gone. The window is locked securely from the inside. There is no way a middle-aged businessman could have climbed down 15 stories of sheer glass and concrete unnoticed. He has simply evaporated. But the most chilling part happens at the airport. The police had confiscated his passport and his Tauridian documents, locking them in a high-security evidence room at the customs office. When they go to retrieve them for the investigation, the documents are gone. Not stolen. There was no break-in. They simply ceased to exist in our timeline the moment the man did. Part 4. The bottom of the iceberg. Where did the man from Taured go? If we look at the veil of reality iceberg, this case sits in the deepest, darkest water. Layer 1. The parallel dimension. Modern physics, specifically the many worlds interpretation, suggests that an infinite number of realities exist side by side. In one world, that valley became Andorra. In another, it became Taured. Did this man accidentally walk through a portal at 30,000 feet? Was he a traveler from a sister Earth who found himself trapped in a world that looked like his, but was fundamentally broken? Layer 2. The simulation patch. If our reality is a programmed simulation, glitches are inevitable. Perhaps the man from Taured was a piece of data from a different version of the program, a version B asset accidentally loaded into a version A server. Once the system detected the anomaly, A country that didn't match the master map. The system didn't just remove him. It deleted every trace of his existence to maintain the simulation's integrity. Layer 3. The time slip. Some believe the man wasn't from another dimension, but a different timeline where the history of Europe took a different turn. He was a man out of time, a ghost of a future or past that we will never see. Part 5. Conclusion. The case of the man from Taured remains the ultimate glitch in the Matrix story. There are skeptics who say it's an urban legend or a misinterpretation of a 1950s hoax. But for those who believe, the story is a warning. It reminds us that the borders we draw on maps and the history we write in books are only as real as the ground we stand on. And sometimes, that ground is thinner than we think. Next time you're in a crowded airport, look at the person sitting across from you. They might have a passport you recognize. Or they might be waiting for a flight back to a home that, in this world, doesn't even exist. What do you think happened in that hotel room? Let me know in the comments. And stay curious.